They say, ask and you shall receive. But what if I told you that's not always true? You've asked before, haven't you? For love, for health, for a chance, for something, anything to change. You whispered into the silence of your room, into the void of the night sky, into the heavens you weren't even sure were listening. And still, nothing came. So maybe you stopped asking. Maybe you started believing that the universe is deaf, or worse, that it listens but chooses to ignore you. But what if I told you the problem was never that you asked? The problem was how you asked. Tonight, we dive into a truth that very few are ready to hear. Ask like this, and the universe can't say no. And no, this is not superstition. This is not wishful thinking. This is ancient wisdom wrapped in the modern language of neuroscience and psychology. This is what mystics hinted at and what quantum physicists are only now beginning to explain. Because reality doesn't respond to your words, it responds to your vibration. Let me tell you a story. There was a woman I once knew, Elena, a writer. For years, she sat every morning at her desk and begged the universe, please, let me become successful. Please, just let someone discover me. She said the words she visualized. She even wrote them down 10 times a day. But for 5 years, nothing. No book deal, no breakthrough, no sign, until one day something changed. Not outside, but inside her. That morning, she didn't ask like a beggar hoping for crumbs. She didn't plead. She declared. She sat down, looked at her own reflection, and said, I am already the writer the world is waiting for, and now I open the doors. Let the right people come. It was subtle, but seismic. Within 6 months, a random blog post of hers went viral. Within a year, she signed a 3-book deal. Coincidence? Maybe that's what most people will call it. But people who understand, people who've lived this, felt this, they'll tell you, the universe is not random, it's responsive. But it only responds when the ask is clear, coherent, and aligned. So let me ask you this, deeply and sincerely. When you ask, do you ask like a creator? Or do you ask like a victim? Do you say, please let me find love while feeling broken and unworthy inside? Do you say, please give me more money while believing you'll never make enough? Do you say, let me be happy while clinging to the pain you refuse to release? Because the universe is not fooled by words. It listens to the signal beneath the sentence. It feels your intention, not your desperation. This isn't just philosophy, it's science. Dr. Joe Dispenza, whose research bridges quantum physics and human behavior, explains that your thoughts, fused with elevated emotion, create a coherent signal, a message so powerful that reality itself begins to rearrange around it. But thoughts with fear, with lack, with disbelief, they send a scrambled signal, and a scrambled signal gets no answer. The problem isn't that the universe is ignoring you, it's that your message isn't landing. Because deep down, you don't believe you deserve what you're asking for. And that, my friend, is the block. So tonight I challenge you to ask differently. Ask like it's already done. Ask like you're already walking toward it. Ask like a king claiming his crown, not a servant begging for bread. Speak like someone the universe can't ignore. If this resonates, if your soul feels like something just clicked, then stay with me. There's more you need to hear, more that no one else has dared to say out loud. And if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel, because together we're unlearning powerlessness and rediscovering something far more thrilling, that you were never waiting on the universe was waiting on you. Let me take you deeper, because this is where most people give up. They hear about asking from belief, asking from clarity, and they nod, but when nothing changes immediately, they crumble. Why? Because they don't understand this one terrifying truth. The universe is not Amazon Prime. It does not deliver on demand. It delivers on alignment. And alignment, that's ancient, that's sacred, that's earned in the quiet moments when no one is watching but your own soul. Let me tell you a story from the Gospels. There was a woman bleeding for 12 years. No doctor could help her. No man would touch her. She was, by every definition, unclean. And yet, in a crowd pressing around Jesus, she didn't scream. She didn't beg. She didn't even ask with words. She said to herself, if I can just touch the hem of his garment, I will be healed. And in that single act of absolute conviction, power moved. Jesus turned and said, your faith has made you well. She didn't speak to the heavens. She didn't write a petition. She didn't say 100 prayers. She simply aligned mind, heart, and belief, and reality had no choice but to obey. Now let's jump centuries forward to a neuroscientist in California. Dr. Rob Andrew Huberman explains that when your prefrontal cortex, the center of intention, is fully activated by clarity, and your limbic system, the seat of emotion, is stimulated with elevated feeling, dopamine surges. The brain becomes primed not only to notice opportunity, but to pursue it. This is no longer just faith. This is neurobiology. In Tibetan Buddhism, they speak of sankalpa, a sacred resolve, an intention so pure it becomes like fire in the unseen world. You don't repeat it mindlessly. You become it. You don't say, let there be light. You become the light. The Quran says, call upon me, I will respond to you. But every verse implies one condition: sincerity, alignment, submission not in fear, but in certainty. Do you see the pattern? Every ancient tradition, from Christianity to Buddhism to Islam to indigenous African cosmology, says the same thing, just with different words. You don't ask from desperation. You ask from identity. You don't plead like a beggar. You ask like a child of the universe, confident, connected, complete. Let me tell you about Mateo. Mateo was a street magician in Brazil. Abandoned at 6, he grew up believing life was survival. He asked for coins. He asked for food. He asked for pity. But at age 23, he saw a man giving a TED Talk, and something shifted. He stopped begging. He started visualizing, not just performing on the street, but on global stages. He told himself, I am not the poor magician. I am an artist whose hands bring wonder. He stopped saying, please notice me, and started saying, I am already chosen. 5 years later, he performed in Vegas. And when someone asked him how he did it, he said something I'll never forget. I asked like the universe was already planning to say yes. I just needed to prove I could hold the answer. So let me ask you again, what energy are you bringing to your request? Are you asking for healing while holding on to the wound? Are you asking for abundance while constantly repeating how broke you feel? Are you asking for love while telling yourself you're not lovable? Because here's the brutal truth. The universe can't give you what you don't believe you can carry. It won't give you the relationship if you still sabotage every chance to connect. It won't hand you wealth if you secretly think money is evil. It won't give you purpose if you're afraid of being seen. You must ask as if it's already yours. You must ask like your soul is echoing across time, demanding the future it was always meant to live. Let me give you something practical. Next time you want something, pause. Don't just ask. Feel it. Close your eyes and feel what it's like to already have it. Not for 30 seconds, for 5 minutes, 10. Long enough for your nervous system to register it as real. Long enough for your body to send a new signal out into the quantum field. Because you're not just a body, you're a signal, a transmitter, a beacon. And what you emit, the universe reflects. If this is landing in your gut, if your heart is pounding, don't scroll away. Don't forget this in 10 minutes. Pause. Subscribe to this channel, not just for more inspiration, but because this might be the start of a revolution in your own mind. What if the version of you you've been waiting for is waiting for you to ask differently? And in a moment, I'll take you into one final story, one that may challenge everything you've ever believed about asking. So stay with me, because next we go to the edge of reality and jump. There's a moment right before everything changes, when your entire body feels like it's lying. When you speak the words, I am ready, but your hands tremble. When you say, I trust, but your chest is tight. When you whisper, I believe, and yet your mind screams, liar. That's the edge. That's where most people turn back. But that's also where miracles begin. Let me tell you about Maya. She was an oncology nurse, bright, resilient, always calm. But when her own body betrayed her, when the doctor said stage 3, everything she had given others, hope, faith, encouragement, vanished from her own heart. For weeks, she didn't ask for anything. She didn't pray. She didn't visualize. She simply endured until one night, staring at the ceiling, exhausted from treatment, she said aloud, God, I don't ask you to heal me because I'm afraid. I ask you to heal me because I'm finally ready to become the woman who lives like she deserves it. That's when something cracked. From that moment on, every affirmation wasn't a performance. It was surrender. She stopped begging for a future. She began embodying it. She danced to music every morning, bald, weak, and laughing. She drew paintings of her healed body, framed them above her bed. She said thank you to a future that hadn't arrived yet, but she knew it was en route. 18 months later, no trace. Her doctor said there's no explanation. She smiled. Oh, but there is. You see, she didn't just ask for healing. She became the vibration of health. She asked in the only way the universe cannot ignore with her entire being. Now I know some will scoff. You can't think your way out of disease, and maybe you can't. But history is filled with men and women who bent reality not with force, but with frequency. Nikola Tesla once said, if you want to understand the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Modern physics agrees. Dr. Bruce Lipton's work on epigenetics shows us our beliefs, our perceptions literally change the behavior of our cells. Quantum physicists are uncovering evidence that observation, pure consciousness, alters particles. You think that doesn't affect your life? Then tell me, why do two people walk into the same room and one sees threat while the other sees opportunity? Why does one person say, nothing ever works out for me and nothing ever does, while another walks with the swagger of someone who knows something good is always just a moment away? And somehow it always is? The universe isn't random, it's responsive. And the question is, are you asking like someone who knows they're part of that system? Or are you begging like someone who forgot? I want you to try something radical tonight. Before you sleep, close your eyes, and instead of asking for what you want with fear, say this: I thank the universe for aligning everything in my favor. I ask from wholeness, not lack. I ask because I'm ready, not desperate. I trust, I expect, I allow. And then feel it, not like a fantasy, but like a memory you're already living. If your voice trembles, good. If you cry, perfect. If your hands shake, wonderful. That means it's working. That means your soul is stretching beyond the limits your mind set. You are not here to survive. You're here to co-create, to partner with something vast, something ancient, something alive. So stop whispering to the void with words soaked in fear. Stand up. Speak with the voice of someone who knows they belong to the stars. Ask like this, and the universe can't say no. Because when your thoughts, your feelings, your actions, and your beliefs all harmonize in one singular frequency, creation is inevitable. But only if you begin. Not tomorrow. Not next year. Now. If this message moves something inside you, don't let it fade. Subscribe to this channel, not because we need numbers, but because you need reminders. Because your soul is remembering what your mind tried to forget, that you are powerful, that you are magnetic, that you are worthy of the yes. So ask, and then become.